Hey guys, DJ here. I just kind of wanted to tell a little story about myself and how I got up to 519 pounds around June 3rd was when I started all this. And I'm happy to say that, I've had a lot of success with it, and I cherish every day that I get now. And that's a hell of a thing for me. But I guess we can start it all back probably around, I don't know, when I was 7, 8, maybe 9 or 10, somewhere along that lines. I don't really remember a lot of my early childhood, but I do remember the first time that I was called fat, and that really stuck in my head. I was in about the third grade, and I had knocked somebody's pencil off their desk with my hand on accident, and he proceeded to call me, why don't you watch what you're doing, fat guy or fat boy, and that I'd never been called that before, and I just didn't know what to think of it, but you know that's what I started getting called. I started getting teased constantly, things of that nature. And all that continued on until probably about the 6th or 7th grade. And that's when another kind of monumental thing happened. I had gone to the nurse for migraines, the school nurse, and I was having migraines like every day or every other day. I mean, debilitating migraines. And I was always wanting to go home because I was either getting picked on by kids or thought I was being unfairly treated by teachers. Especially, of course, the teachers didn't like me and such. But I know a little bit better now. But back then, that's kind of how I felt. But the nurse said that during one of my trips to her to check up on a migraine, she checked my blood pressure. I can't remember the exact numbers, but I can tell you right now that she was freaked out because she had never seen a kid my age with that high blood pressure. And I was probably only a couple points away from being in like a heart attack zone. And I blame that mostly because I was stressed out constantly. I was pretty much failing the grade that I was in because I didn't feel like doing anything because my self-esteem was just nothing. I mean, it was ground level, bottom of the barrel self-esteem. Like, I was believing everything kids told me that I was. I was a fat kid. I was never going to be anything. I was just going to keep on getting bigger. So a couple months later, I have to go to the doctor for my blood pressure and stuff. And he tries to put me on a scale, and by all means, this is when I was in the 7th grade. He had to put me on the scale, and most of these medical scales go up to about 350 pounds, and it wouldn't weigh me. And that was a very big deal to me. So I had to go down to the actual shipping department of this hospital and get weighed on a freight scale. That hurt a lot, especially when the number, 370 popped up on the scale numbers. I was 20 pounds over the medical scale weight limit, and I was only in the 7th grade. Something was wrong. I didn't know what. And, my parents didn't know what to do. All the doctors could do was suggest that, I go on a workout regimen, and I try a diet, or I try a eating program or something. So they took me to a nutritionist that, of course, all this happened at an age where I wasn't fully capable of really understanding nutrition and stuff like that. Yeah, I knew vegetables were better for me than, fried chicken. But the thing is, it doesn't really matter when you're that young. Well, it does matter, but it didn't matter to me. Not in my mindset, it didn't matter. I was going to eat whatever made me feel good and whatever pretty much compensated for friendships or, just whatever stress I was dealing with at that time. Food was compensating me for it. I was never afraid of getting, called names by food. And as soon as I discovered that once you're big enough, people don't pick on you as much because they're afraid you're going to hurt them. And that's what I found out in my freshman year of high school when, I can remember my father dropping me off, or not dropping me off, but the morning before I caught the bus, that he told me one thing before he went to work. He's like, DJ, a lot of these kids have picked on you throughout, elementary school and middle school. You have about 5 chances to get suspended before you're expelled from high school. So if you get suspended, make them count. And if they start picking on you again, you definitely need to show them who's boss and, who they're really messing with. And I will always remember that because for so long they told me just don't hit anybody. Don't get violent. You're too big. But finally, after all the drama of middle school, they finally told me, it's like, look, don't let them, give you any crap. Do what you got to do. And as soon as I did that, and, they lost all power and all hold they had over me, my high school life was decent. It was decent to good. Grades could have been better, of course, but, I was a teenager. I had to do what I want. But I lost a little bit of weight, but I also gained a little bit of height. I got up to about 6'1", 6'2" in high school. And I was probably, now that I think about it, I was probably already over 400 pounds by the time junior and senior year came around. And another thing that really, really hurt me in my younger years, yeah, it's only been about 10 years, but yeah, younger years, was the relationships that I started to have with women. And, that continued on into adult life. Kind of always getting bounced around between certain groups of female friends and such. And I have a naturally booster personality, I like to call it. And, I think anybody can will themselves to do just about anything, even if I don't believe it in myself. But that's changed too. I now believe in myself that I can do anything that I truly put my mind towards. But, over the last 7, 8, 10 years, that wasn't the case. So I got turned down a lot. It's not a real big deal, but it kind of gets to the point to where, you kind of give up on, even trying to get a girlfriend or trying to get on dates. And when it gets to that point, you just want to be alone. I mean, you get sick of loneliness, but you kind of, you think you deserve it on some level that you just don't deserve, or you're not capable of being that one person a woman could look up to, or, look for, or look to in her time of need and such. And that's a kind of a big deal to me because I always kind of thought of myself that, I'd be a good husband or I'd be a good boyfriend. Because, I've always been a good friend to my, friends that I do have. I mean, I just didn't get it. Why did women just not kind of want to be around me or be with me? So I decided it was because of my weight. And, because I have no doubt we live in a very look-oriented world. And a lot of people are going to judge you by the way that you look before they even get a chance to talk to you or know you. And that's just the way, that's just the way the dice roll. But, like I said, getting into relationships with women, only lasting about 3 weeks to a month before they kind of toss me aside and, go on to one of the friends that I might have introduced them to, got old after a while, and it really hurt down deep. But, that was only one of the many things that kind of led me up to, the 519-pound marker back in June of this year, 2012. Another big thing was that right after high school, I started working with the special ed. I was a bus aid assistant. And that I could say that was easily one of the best jobs I've ever had. I learned to really appreciate people and appreciate the kinds of people there are in this world. Some of them may not, have what we would call social abilities or skills, but trust me, they definitely have a whole different uniqueness about them, and they should definitely be cherished just the same. But unfortunately, about 3 years after finding that job, I got laid off, and it was devastating to me because there was no like personality involved in it whatsoever. They just handed me an envelope and pretty much stayed at the front of me to make sure I wasn't gonna like destroy the bus or something. Because I can tell you what, once I opened that letter, I felt like I could just break that bus down, all the way to nuts and bolts. That's just how it is. I was very angry, but that was back. That was back in, I want to say, about 2003, 2000. No, that wasn't in 2003. What am I talking about? That was about 2007, 2008. But I became unemployed along with a lot of other people. And the economy just didn't look up, so I fell into a very hard depression. And this would last for a lot of years. And I gotta say, it was mentally torturing to me because I was having to lean on my family a lot more than what I wanted to. And especially in the last couple years, hell, I wouldn't leave the house unless it was just to go hang out with my brother or my couple of my other close friends. And I got to give them a huge shout out. My brother Alan and my buddy Matt and my friend Don. Without them, I probably wouldn't even have a life. I would have probably lost myself in the pit of darkness for a lot longer than I did. And about a year before I started DDP yoga, I developed a thing in my foot called plantar fasciitis or fasciitis. I can't remember exactly how you pronounce it. But basically it's where the muscle fibers that connect your toes to the back of your heel deteriorate or tear. And it's very painful. And for about 11 months, I couldn't stand up for more than 2 or 3 minutes without feeling a very hot iron rod sort of sensation push itself through the bottom of my right heel. And when I got that, I just sort of gave up. I slept all day. I only ate probably once or twice a day, but I mean, they were huge, huge meals full of all the wrong things. I mean, I can't even tell you how many calories or, I put away or how much gluten I put into my system on a daily basis. And, it was a very hard time. I remember crying myself to sleep a lot during the night and, just being a very sad and angry individual all wrapped up into one. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I just wanted to be by myself. And then when I did get a boost of confidence and try to work out or something like that, it only ended up in sheer terror for me because either A, it would have hurt my foot, or the next morning I would feel like I'd gotten ran over by a semi-truck. But luckily, about 9 months into my stint of having plantar fasciitis, my friend Matt sent me the link to Arthur Borman's video. And, me, like a lot of other people, I saw Arthur Borman, do the impossible. I mean, the guy wanted more than anything to walk. And, he got to the point to where he could just do that. And then he got to the point to where he could full on run. And going from where he went, or where he came from, it really inspired me. I kind of thought to myself, you know what, I got to find out what he used to get to that shape and that physicality and that mentality and that mindset. So I started doing some digging and I found DDP yoga. And, imagine that. One of my all-time favorite wrestlers developed a yoga system. Never would have thought of it. But shortly after, I spent the rest of the money that I had to buy the max pack of the DDP yoga system along with the heart rate monitor and such. And that was right during the big Arthur Borman boom, the first one I think, which was around May. So I ended up having to wait about a month before I got my my DVDs in. But hey, it was well worth the wait. You know, I got on teamddpyoga.com and learned everything I could about it. That way, when I was ready to start, and my DVDs did get there, I was ready to, you know, go at them with full arsenal loaded. So, you know, June 3rd came around, and I'd gotten my DVDs on the 1st of June. And I said I was going to give myself a couple of days just kind of read through everything. And, you know, I'd already done the Diamond Dozen and Energy a couple of times from the website. And I just felt amazing that I was actually able to do something, do a workout that didn't hurt me anymore. That didn't make me feel like, you know, I was worthless at the end of it. And I was kind of hesitant to go through the dietary change, so to speak. I was planning on eating a lot healthier, but then, you know, I even talked to DDP a little bit, and he told me, you know, you got to go phase 3 if you want to see the biggest bang for your buck and for the, you know, biggest bang every month or every week. You have to go phase 3, and that's exactly what I did. I kicked out gluten and I kicked out dairy. And that eliminated a lot of food that I really liked at the time. And it took me about a week or two to fully detox off gluten. And that was a rough couple weeks. But I continued to do energy about every day for the first month, throwing Fat Burner in on every other, some odd days and such. Kind of give me a harder workout. And that kind of went on for the next 5 months. And then I started to kind of challenge myself for the 5th month, and I ended up dropping, I don't know, between the first month I started to my 5th month, I ended up dropping probably 78 pounds, I want to say. And then my 6th month came around, which was in November, this previous month. And I kind of hit a railroad block. You know, I stopped working out as hard and as much, and kind of got lenient on my eating. And I kind of found out because it was basically because I wasn't challenging myself enough. I got bored, and that's pretty much all. That's the only excuse I got for it. And you know, it was a slightly rough month, but luckily, you know, I had a friend, Doug Steven, you know, kind of snap me out of it and, you know, tell me how it really was. It's like, why are you wasting time, you know, trying to lose weight slowly when you could lose it quickly and be that much better that much earlier? And once I kind of got that through my head, it all kind of clicked together for me. And, you know, he's been an awesome coach. I can't say enough good things about the guy. He's pushed me through a lot of workouts that I didn't think my body was going to be able to do for another year. But it just goes to prove that, you know, nothing is impossible if you really want it. And if you really push yourself to do it and take the steps that's needed to do it. And, I gotta say, guys, for the last 7 months, it's been the best time of my life since I can remember. And that's a lot coming from me. I don't have a lot of good times in my life. And, you know, I'm glad to say that my first major goal was to lose 100 pounds by Christmas of this year. And that was back in June. And I weighed in at Christmas, and I had lost about 103 pounds. 103 pounds. Wow, it's an incredible number right now. I pretty much lost a smallish person off of my body, along with about 42 inches, 42 to 45. But, you know, I gotta say, it's one of those things that I can't believe happened. You know, I couldn't believe that out of everything, yoga was working for me. And it continues to do so. But, you know, like DDP says, it ain't your mama's yoga. So, I definitely try to keep that in mind, and that's what I say when I tell people. It's like I'm doing DDP yoga, and they give me that weird look, like you're doing yoga. It's like, yeah, 400 plus pound guys busting his ass doing yoga and getting results. What's your excuse? And I got a lot of people who think I'm doing an amazing thing. Which, granted, I'll give them that. I feel amazing, and I feel like I am doing an amazing thing for myself. But at the same time, I know I still got a lot of weight to lose. And with the help of my coach and the people at Team DDP Yoga and DDP, I have the utmost faith that it's going to happen. And it's going to be a wonderful thing. And, I honestly can't wait for it. I can't wait to see what my life is going to be like once the rest of this weight's gone. Because, it sucked growing up as the fat kid. It sucked growing up as the fat teenager. And, it never gets any easier as you get older, as far as when the weight comes on and, it keeps packing on. Situations and opportunities do not present themselves very often. But, yeah, I'm trying not to get too far into things, guys, but, that's kind of what I wanted to let you guys know a little bit more about myself. And honestly, there's not that much more to tell. I have a great family who have loved and supported me throughout a lot of stuff, a lot of bad things. And I'm very lucky to have that, along with my friends and, my extended DDP yoga family. They're a hell of a bunch, and, I love each and every one of them. I wish them the best. But I also want to say that no matter how hard the road gets, guys, it's only as hard as you make it. You choose to react to how hard the road is. And you can either choose to sit down and take a break, or, charge on through and make your own road. And that's what I've decided to do with the rest of my life. There's no more waiting around for the road to show itself to me. I'm blazing my own trail. And I've decided that's the way that I got to be if I want to get the things that I want. But I'm going to end this. I'm going to wrap this up, guys. And, I hope you guys had wonderful holidays. Merry Christmas to you if I haven't said it already. And I hope you guys truly have a great New Year. Bye, guys.